In the grim darkness of the far future, there are nerds here to talk about it. I'm Joel,
I'm Kimara.
and welcome, ladies, gentlemen, and everyone beyond, to Warhammer and Weebs, a podcast for Warhammer, about Warhammer, and everything else that catches our interest. But before we begin, just a reminder to everybody that you follow us on our socials, such as at warhammerweebs.bluesky.social, or bisky.social, as I always call it, and Tumblr, the www.com/warhammerandweebs. And of course, follow us on our YouTube channel at Warhammer and Weebs. Like, subscribe, and yeah, those are all our socials for this week. So, Kamara, how you doing? How are you doing this week?
Pretty good, pretty good. Warhammer just dropped like a whole bunch of game trailers.
I saw that.
Yeah. We got Warhammer Survivors, which is co-produced by the same people who made Vampire Survivors.
Mm-hmm.
Which, if you haven't played Vampire Survivors, go play it. Very, very fun. It's one of the few kind of like I'm not usually a fan of like the top down sort of shooter sort of shooter games, but Vampire Survivors is it's delightfully addictive, and it's on mobile,
Mm-hmm.
which kind of makes sense when you consider, if I remember correctly, the developers used to make they made the software. I forgot if it was like a mobile or they did something that had to do with gambling. So they understand very, very well how to get a player addicted to something,
Mm-hmm.
and they translated it to a actually pretty fun game, and it got and it's a full-on game because they have their own games. They had, like, lots of DLCs. They had, a Castlevania DLC at one point, an Among
Ooh.
Us DLC at one
Mm-hmm.
point. So this is like a full-on game and unto itself. So there's that one. There's, Bolt Gun 2 coming up, which is pretty much like the Warhammer version of Doom.
Ooh, nice.
Very, yeah, very pixely, very shooty, very lots of explosions, etc., etc. I know Total War is coming out. Another Total War update. Another Dawn of War update, or it's coming out. There's a lot of stuff coming out. So yeah, it Warhammer fans are gonna be eating well.
Nice, nice. My week's been going well. About to see Mando and Grogu tomorrow. The dates of this podcast, I'm aware. Um, but and I probably should have saved this for when we do our He-Man one. But before the He-Man movie came out, I wanted to stir up some discourse, and I decided to do a ranking of every on-screen Masters of the Universe franchise thing that they have done over the years, minus the New Adventures of He-Man, the one that's set, like, after the original show that's in space, because 'cause I've never seen that show, so I can't rank it. And this was my ranking from the bottom to the top. So at the bottom, we have the '80s live action film, and then after that, we have classic He-Man, followed by classic She-Ra, 2002, 2020, Revelation, then Revolution, and then at the tippy top, of course, is S-Pop She-Ra 2018. Now, if you want to know some insights, I put 2020 over 2002 because I thought it had better handle on the characters, despite being a very odd He-Man adaptation. Um, Revelation Revolution over 2020 because that's just a better He-Man adaptation. And I think it's one of the more interesting Gen X A nostalgia fest that does a lot of classic deconstruction. And I put classic She-Ra over classic He-Man. I think classic She-Ra just has a better spine of a narrative than He-Man does. And She-Ra being number one, She-Ra 2018 being number one, that's just obvious. So yeah, that was my ranking.
There was a He-Man in 2020. Which one came out in 2020?
That was the CGI show where everyone was like a
Oh,
teenager, and like they
and
made
everyone had
dunk.
like
Yeah,
The one that like enormous shoulders.
Yeah, yeah, it's or well, it might have been 2023, but yeah, like, and they're, like, Duncan, and it was, like, a teenager, and Ram Man was Ram Mam, and her name was Crass, and, like, Adam's best friend, and Adam was an orphan, and he was raised by Cringer and part of the Tiger Tribe. Tiger Tribe.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, I remember. I remember because I remember thinking the sword looked like the Omega key thing from Prime.
Oh, that's right, and, I think the voice act no, I almost said the voice actor of He-Man was Adam was Kyle. I was like, "No, that's Duncan's voice." Duncan is voiced by the same guy who voices Kyle and She-Ra. See?
Yeah.
Very
Gary Griffin, Kevin Conroy.
Oh, yeah, Kevin Conroy voiced Hordak for, like, 5 seconds, and apparently Hordak is Evelyn's father in this universe. And Keldor is just a dude, he's not even a guard. He's just a dude.
Uh,
Yeah, the show sadly only got, like, its first half done, ended on a
It
cliffhanger.
got 3 seasons. Oh, and only
It's
26 episodes though.
Yeah, so really, it just got 1 season, full,
Yeah.
1 core, but, no,
Huh.
that's a fun one, it's a fun one, but yeah, that's sort of my ranking where it's like She-Ra 2018, obviously, the tippy top, then Revelation in 2020 X are sort of like the top ones.
All
But yeah,
right.
that's my ranking. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, you know I like S-Pop 2018. Um, yeah, She-Ra TV show definitely has a you're right, it has a little bit more bite, I think.
I think it just has a stronger premise, right? Like it's your classic Rebels versus Empire, where it's like with He-Man, it's like they're factions, but not really.
It's episodic, kinda. It's
Right.
day by day, sort of. Oh, I don't know, Cringer got stuck in a swamp. Here's a lesson about friendship.
Another evil wizard that's not Skeletor is trying to take over Eternia for some reason, and Evelyn decided to help them for a day. I don't know why. She's
Like 20
freelancing.
kingdoms, none of them are populated.
Exactly. Randor just sits around and like, "Ooh, where's my wife? So tell me what to do." But I guess that's every incarnation. But yeah, that was my week. That was my week of fun. But we are here to continue the journey through the Disneyverse as we continue to talk about Kingdom Hearts, the first game, part 2. So, my co-host, my friend, what do you remember during our last conversation about Kingdom Hearts, the first game, and the story so far?
Alright, so there is the darkness,
Yep,
the and, it's got the Heartless,
yep,
and they want to go ahead and steal people's hearts and eventually destroy worlds,
yep,
extinguishing stars.
yep,
Um, so we have Sora,
yep.
teenage boy, looks like he's 12, way too many zippers,
Oh yeah, they love their zippers.
and he teams up with Disney icons Goofy and Donald.
Yep,
They hop on a ship powered by emotions,
yep,
trail throughout the galaxy.
yep,
Sora has 2 best friends
yep.
who probably should be his girlfriend and boyfriend, but that's a conversation for another day.
Exactly.
The girlfriend is currently in a coma.
Yep,
The boyfriend is being groomed,
yep.
and Maleficent leads a legion of evil that should probably be on a watch list.
Pretty much. Yep, yep. More or less. more or less what we got. So last we left off, Riku is now going even further into the dark side. Maleficent's grooming him for it. We just left the world Monstro. Just less of a world and more just the character Monstro just floating around gummy space. Um, so yeah, now Sora's a little depressed because his friend is turning evil and whatnot. So after this, you get a choice. So now we're kind of in part two of the game, so the second act. Part two is what I call like the filler worlds to some extent, where stuff happens in them, but they're not like moving the plot along. And that is Atlantica and Halloween Town. I think the game wants you to go to Atlantica first. So you go to Atlantica and you team up with Ariel, who actually gets to join your party. She's like the only. Well, okay, that's not true. She's the only Disney princess in the first game. I'll make it that clear. In the first game, who actually gets to join your party. Um, you fight alongside her, and the Heartless are basically in Atlantica. They're coming from Ursula's grotto, and you gotta investigate. During this time, Ariel's like, I wanna go see other worlds. That sounds so cool." Like, I wanna, I wanna be where the other worlds are, all that good stuff. Um, they go ask King Triton, like, "Hey, do you know anything about a keyhole? Anything about the Heartless?" King Triton's like, "Nope, no keyholes here. We don't do that kind of stuff here." And Ariel's like, "But Daddy, we can help them." And like, Crank Triton's like, "Nope. I don't do that shit." But of course, since we're following Ariel, she's gonna be, well defined. Like she's gonna help us find the keyhole so we can lock it and make sure this world doesn't get destroyed. Um, we go to a bunch of places to find it. Um, and then we find a little talisman thing that could unlock the keyhole in Ariel's grotto. But then King Triton shows up and he's like, "No, you can't do that." He destroys the talisman thingy. And Ariel gets all mad and runs off. And then King Triton actually reveals, like, "Hey, I know you're not from Atlantica. You're not a. Oh, by the way, I should have said this earlier. Sora, if you're wondering, like, how's Sora here? Sora turned into a merperson while in Atlantica, and Dawn and Goofy are like a turtle and a dolphin thing.
I
Um,
think I've seen those nightmare images before.
yes, here, yeah, basically. This is from Kingdom Hearts 2, but more or less the same thing. Yeah, oh no, he's an octopus. My bad.
Ah,
Anyway,
yes. I remember
yes,
that. It's horrible.
yes. Anyway, but trying to like, yeah, you can't fool me. I know that you're a Keyblade wielder, and then King Titan goes like, Keyblades cause nothing but trouble. They cause destruction and chaos, and you're breaking the number one rule of meddling in the affairs of other worlds. And sort of like, but geez, I didn't know that. I didn't know the Keyblades were bad. And also, how do you know? Like, because I'm King Triton, I'm old. I've seen the shit. Um, and he's like, thank you for helping my daughter, but you gotta get out of here because um, uh, you know, Keyblades are bad and they cause nothing but trouble. So that's going on, and of course, while Ariel's all sad because her dad yelled at her, Ursula comes in and it's like, she does the poor unfortunate soul thing of like, hey, let's make a deal. I can help you get to other worlds. You just gotta do one thing for me. And of course, Ariel stupidly says yes, and of course, Ursula wants the Triton, so she takes the Triton. Ursula gets the Triton, um, and and what's the word? Oh yeah. And take then King Triton gets weakened. So now we gotta beat Ursula. We beat Ursula first time, and then we have to beat her a second time when she's in giant form. We kill Ursula, and we get the Triton back, and Triton tells us where the keyhole is because he's learned his lesson. And now we see the keyhole, and Ariel's like, I hope one day I can go to other worlds. That'd be so cool. And then we're off, and that's Atlantica. The only real cool thing about Atlantica is sort of like the Keyblade lore that King Triton dumps on us. Is like it caused ruin and chaos and whatnot, and there's gonna be some stuff there for later in the series. You following so far? Comments on this world before we move on to the next one?
So I know you said like it's still separate, like from like the movie, but does that mean technically speaking, Ariel never meets Eric in this timeline? Because
Um,
Ursula's dead now.
so I'll just spoil Kingdom Hearts 2 a little bit. They quasi retcon something, and I don't know the official lore explanation, where Ursula's back, and then they just do the movie in the second game, which is also just a mini game um, world because people hated the swim mechanics in Kingdom Hearts 1 so much.
Is
So,
that the one with the dancing?
yes, and that's where you get to sing the songs, like you sing Under the Sea and stuff.
Oh,
Um, and Sora's got a pretty good voice. But yeah, it's this is Kingdom Hearts 2 problem where it's weird where they resurrect Ursula just to do the movie again. Where here's an original story, but in the 2 they just decided to do the movie. Although they give Pat Carroll and Ursula a new song to sing, so that's nice. We love Ursula songs, but you know it is weird. It's very this is where it gets weird. Atlantica doesn't make sense in terms of like timeline continuity stuff. At least with like Aladdin, they do like a weird abridged version of the movie where like they get all the beats, even if it's still a separate story. Because you know Aladdin and Jasmine still get together and all that. But yeah, that's weird. So that's kind of the only thing I can tell you.
huh.
Uh, so
Okay.
after oh, any more questions before I move on to Halloween Town?
So so Triton has seen this before.
Yes, he knows about the Keyblade.
So does that imply that? Oh, I guess that implies that one, there's been other Keyblade wielders, which I guess,
We'll get to that. We'll get there eventually.
and two, the man who lives under the sea knows about dying worlds.
Yeah, he's unfortunately they never do anything with this plot thread in later games, but there's always this implication of like Triton's old enough to have seen the worlds beforehand, and I think he's seen some stuff with the Keyblade. People used to headcanon that the Keyblade wielder killed his wife, and that's why he didn't trust him. Um, which I would have loved. That'd been cool. But yeah, he's seen some stuff.
Alrighty then.
So then we go to Halloween Town, which is another kind of filler world. But you know, but I mean, they're only here's the thing: they're filler worlds, but they also take out like two of Maleficent's Legion of Doom because Ursula's dead, and we're gonna deal with Oogie Boogie. Um, so basically, we go to Halloween Town, and this takes place before Nightmare Before Christmas. So timeline wise, the movie hadn't happened. This takes place beforehand. Although there's also some continuity stuff. It's a little weird. I don't know how it completely works, but okay. Um, but you know, you go to there, and the Heartless are there, but the Heartless aren't attacking us for some reason. And apparently, Jack Skellington is using the Heartless to make an epic Halloween. He wants them to dance. He somehow has gotten control of the Heartless through some sort of sciencey stuff, and he's experimenting with the Dr. Finkelstein to make the Heartless part of the Halloween routine, which Sora thinks is fascinating. Oh, and by the way, we also get the Halloween Town versions of Sora, Donald, and Goofy, which are epic, which I love. Um,
Ah, yes, emo Sora.
yes, and I am convinced Kingdom Hearts is a big reason why Nightmare Before Christmas got super popular in later years. Because remember, because Nightmare Before Christmas, it's kind of weird to think of it now, was the oddball out world for Kingdom Hearts 1. Because A, Disney at least officially never really marketed Nightmare Before Christmas up to this back in 2000 as a Disney movie. It was technically like a Touchstone film. Um, which was owned by Disney, but it's a separate studio. But it's sort of like it's yeah, technically we own it, but it's not really a Disney canon movie. It's like it's that weird goth thing. We don't. We're Disney. We don't do that. That's a Disney mentality back in the early 2000s. Compared to today, where it's like, oh, Halloween, yeah, yeah, put Nightmare Before Christmas everywhere. Sell to the goths. Um,
And Christmas.
and Christmas.
There in Halloween, it's there in Christmas, and you can never get rid of it.
You'd be surprised how many gothy people I saw at Disneyland the last time I was there. It's like, wow. These are some, and I'm talking like hardcore goths too. Like they got the makeup and everything. Like not the image in my head, but okay. Just like we must sell to the hot topics. We must infiltrate the hot topic market. But yeah, I'm kind of convinced Kingdom Hearts was a big reason why Nightmare Before Christmas got a little more popular mainstream wise, because Kingdom Hearts was such a big game, and this was like the oddball out world at the time compared to like the other movies like Little Mermaid, Aladdin. Because remember, this was like the height of the Renaissance. Tarzan. So like like the world makeup of Kingdom Hearts, I think, is really interesting because it's like you got Aladdin, Hercules, Tarzan, Little Mermaid, like the Renaissance movies. Um, Alice in Wonderland, a classic, is more the classic world, but also Alice in Wonderland has always kind of been a kind of popular. People love, especially the Disney version. Like it's sort of, that's sort of been like a big hit for generations.
Yeah,
Um,
'cause otherwise they'd have to read the book, and
yeah. Um, Peter Pan's a little. I mean, I guess Peter Pan's kind of like a classic boys one. I
it's a
guess
classic.
it's just a classic in general. That's the Disney version. And then, Maleficent, I think has always kind of been a bit of a separate thing because they don't have. I mean, will do a Sleeping Beauty world later, but I think Maleficent just as a character has always kind of been a big name for the villain. So it's like, yeah, let's put her in there and we'll make her like the main Disney antagonist. Um, so it's always been a very good mix, of course, of like what kind of gets represented in here in terms of like the eras of Disney and whatnot. And Nightmare Before Christmas at the time was sort of the oddball choice. Like, really? That one? Okay. But I think it really helped the popularity of that movie. Kind of getting Disney proper to like embrace it as a mainstream thing, which it is today. But anyway, so yeah, so Jack is using the Heartless to, make a Halloween, and Sora wants to help because Sora's like, let's do a side quest, even though Donald and Goofy are like, why? But Sora wants to. And Sora's like, what's this Heartless doing here? And like Jack, like, we found it. And, and we're trying to make it to dance. And they decide, then Jack and the Doctor decide, hey, what if the Heartless have a heart? So we decide to make a heart. We decide to like get all these things to make a heart. Uh, so we go around Halloween Town finding weird little objects that apparently make a heart. Don't ask me how the signs work. I don't know. Um, and of course that messes with the Heartless. That causes them to go back to being the enemy. Oogie Boogie hears about this heart project. It's like, oh, I want to make a heart. That way I can even control even more Heartless. So he sends us three little brats, Lock, Shock, and Barrel, to do the thing. Sally's, of course, like, I don't know, Jack, this seems like a bad idea. And Jack's going like, nonsense, this will be a great idea. Nothing can possibly go wrong. Until something goes wrong. And Lock, Shock, and Barrel steal the heart. You gotta get it back. You gotta go to Oogie Boogie's manor. You fight Oogie Boogie, who eats the heart. It's funny because he eats the heart, and he only gets like two Heartless to show up. And he's mad about that. You beat him up. Then he becomes like a giant. His sack breaks and all his bugs fall out. And then he kind of merges with his mansion and becomes like this giant monster mansion Oogie Boogie that you gotta destroy because it's got like darkness in it. Um, and then you defeat the Oogie Boogie, and then you see the keyhole. Um, you see the keyhole. Jack's like, well, I learned my lesson. I'm not gonna do that again. Um, and then some talk about like what makes a heart and blah blah blah, and then you're on your way. So again, these are very fillery worlds. They're also optional. Now you should play them because they're fun, and technically they get rid of Maleficent's minions, but that's kind of it. But I will say the one thing about Halloween Town is that it does weirdly, and I don't know if this was intentional or not, but it weirdly plays for the first time what will kind of be the main thematic thread of the entire Kingdom Hearts franchise, and that is what does it mean to have a heart? What actually makes the heart? And heart in Kingdom Hearts is not just, heart bump, but heart as in soul. What does it mean to have a soul? What has a soul, etc., etc. So that's more or less Halloween Town. So still with me so far? Any questions?
The Tim Burton film got really philosophical. Well, I guess it's always been philosophical in a sense. I think. What
Kind
happened to
of.
Nightmare Before Christmas? Dude
Jack,
goes ahead with a
Jack,
midlife crisis.
depressed artist wants to find something new, takes over Christmas. Goes terribly
And a
wrong.
girl somehow like Sally is too good for this world.
She is. She
So
is.
she really puts up with so much. She puts up with all these idiot men in her life. And
It's
she's still like in Jack's corner.
she is the Kairi to Sora, to Jack, Sora, and Riku. Although I guess Kairi, yeah. No, you're right. You're absolutely right. So now we kind of get the plot moving forward again. We get to Neverland, or not Neverland, but Hook's ship, the Jolly Roger. So you get captured by Hook as you go through space. Hook's there, Mr. Shmee's there, and Riku is there. And Riku is now even more jerk than before and can control the Heartless. There's even a line where he's like, "The Heartless obey me now, Sora. Now I have nothing to fear." And Sora's response is like, "You're stupid. Sooner or later, the Heartless will swallow your heart." And it's like Riku's like, "Nah, they're not gonna do that. My heart's too strong." Now he's being all tough and whatnot. He even creates like a shadow version of Sora to mess with him. Um, and basically, Sora. Oh, and Sora sees that Kairi's okay in a coma, but okay because Riku found Kairi somewhere. And she's
Somewhere.
on the Jolly Roger. Uh, with Hook and Shmi. Um, and then he puts Sora in the brig and commands Hook to like just keep him there until they land. Hook's like, that's scary, but that thinks he can follow me around, boss me around. And Mr. Shmee's like, "Ooh, well, Captain, you know who's also down there?" And like Hook's getting all paranoid because he hears the crocodile. Typical Hook Shmee stuff, all that good stuff. I ship it, as one does.
That's one.
Uh, and then, of course, Sora reunites with Donald and Goofy in the brig. Sora's happy because Kairi's okay. I don't think he realizes she's in a coma, but yay, we found her. And then they run into the one and only Peter Pan. And the best way I can describe Peter Pan is he's a dick, but he's our dick. He does this Peter Pan thing of like, yeah, sure, I'll help you, why not? But I'm gonna play tricks on you and whatnot. He kind of is because he's only here to find Wendy because Wendy's also been captured. And is on the pirate ship. So during you go around the ship looking for Wendy and Kairi. Um, Hook thinks Wendy is one of the princesses of Heart, which remember Maleficent's trying to capture all seven of them to open a magical door of all power. But Wendy is not a princess of Heart. So, Hook's like, "What? What? Why? Oh, like, don't darn it." And like Riku's like, "Nah, Maleficent said she's not, so dump her." And Hook's got to deal with Peter Pan, of course. Sora and Peter Pan find Wendy, who's also in the same room with comatose Kairi. Um, you know, Sora sees Kairi for like a few seconds before she goes away. Um, then you keep going around the ship until you enter Captain Hook's quarters. You find Riku and Kairi. Riku's holding Kairi, because she's comatose, and sends a shadow of Sora to kill him. So yeah, now we're entering the murder stage of the rivalry. You fight Shadow Sora. And then, you go confront Hook, who's captured Tinkerbell, and Hook's like, "Oh, Riku's gone. He's gone to a place called Hollow Bastion, where Maleficent resides." He was saying it like that, "Where Maleficent resides." And basically, you're surrounded by the Heartless. Oh yeah, and Peter Pan's gone off by this point because he found Wendy. So it's like, well, Peter Pan's like, "I found Wendy, so bye bye." Um, you know how Peter is. Um, and basically, it's like, well, you got to give up the Keyblade, or you got to walk the plank. So Sora chooses to walk the plank because he ain't giving up the Keyblade to Hook. And you're going down, and then you hear Peter Pan's voice go, "Fly, Sora, just believe, and you can do it." And Sora jumps with all the confidence in the world, and typical Peter Pan, he can fly. He can fly.
You
He
can fly, you
flew.
can fly, you can fly, you can fly.
You can fly. So you get the flight ability in the game, which is fun. And you beat Hook. You gotta fight Hook, which is fun. If you there's actually a thing where if you use your fire magic on him, you set his pants on fire, and then he goes into the water, but then he's like gotta run up because the crocodile's there. And so you beat Hook. Peter Pan joins you, of course. You beat Hook. Hook does not die. He just falls into the water. He gets chased by the crocodile, so he steers away. And Sora's all excited because, like, I did it. I actually flew. Wait till I tell Kairi. She probably believe me. She probably won't believe me. Yeah, she probably wouldn't. Like, he's all excited to tell Kairi about when he can fly. Like, he's kind of, I don't know if he's like in denial or just is not thinking about the fact that she's in a comatose state. Like, he's so confident that she's just gonna find Kairi and can tell her all about these adventures. Um. So anyway, then you
Nothing,
gotta walk. Oh, go ahead.
nothing, let him live in denial. Fun.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah, so he's in denial. He locks the Keyblade um, in the London clock tower, and then you get Tinkerbell as a summon, which is going to help you later for stuff. And then you cut back to Riku. He's looking pale. He's not looking too good, right? He's using darkness too much. Even Maleficent's like, yeah, you shouldn't have let Kairi come here with Kairi to a dark portal. That's kind of reckless, dude. Like she said, like, remember, relying too heavily on the dark power will cost you your heart. Because apparently, you can only use dark power so much, man, before it really just eats at you. But then you hear a sound, a roar, and Maleficent claims that the roar is from someone whose world has perished, but heart did not. And when they took the princess from the castle, he followed her here through sheer force of will. And then Maleficent calms Riku down and say, like, "Don't worry, no one can hurt you because you have potential." And then through her magic, she just unlocks Riku's dark powers even more so. And Riku has like green slimy energy all over, and he just gets more dark powers. And the person who they're talking about, by the way, who through sheer force of will is finding the princess, is of course Beast of Beauty and of the, as one does. Oh, he's
As
still with
one,
us. Okay, there we go. Yep, good.
I'm just wondering.
Yeah.
I just So I guess that makes Beauty and the Beast one of the best love stories.
Pretty much, because Beast is like, I don't care if my world got destroyed and I'm getting sucked into darkness. I'm just gonna travel through space, time, logic, be damned to find Belle.
Also, this is funny because this. So again, none of this stuff is technically canonical, but this implies this is either Beast before he actually gets the whole Rose thing finished up, True Love's Kiss, all that jazz. That implies either this is before then, or Disney listened to everyone's complaints and kept the better looking Beast instead of turning him back to whatever Prince Adam, I think his name is.
I Yes, which is even more weirder than a He-Man fan. But okay, so there is an answer to this. It's before the Rose thing because there will be a Beast world in Kingdom Hearts 2, which is also deals with the rose. So this is before the movie ends. This is somewhere in like the nebulous how long Belle and Beast have actually been living together time frame, which no one quite knows. 'Cause, it's like either several weeks or months.
It's like
And
several months because there is a canonical Christmas movie
yes, there's like at least a Christmas movie. Although it's
with
weird
Tim
because like
Curry in it, I think, right?
yes, he's a pipe organ. Um well that's the thing because like how long was Maurice looking for Belle by himself? And, in the snow because he goes back to the village and it's like, I'm gonna find Belle myself and no one's gonna help me. So it's like it's been lost for months, I guess so. But yeah, it's somewhere before all of this. Kingdom Hearts is weird because sometimes they'll treat the movies as canonical, and it's like this is sometime before the movie or sometime in between events, and then other times it's like no, we won't even consider the movie canon, and just do our own thing. And sometimes like the world level is just a condensed version of the movie, but that will happen more in later games. So yeah, Beast is going his own way to find Belle because he's the Beast and he's gonna do that. That's what he does. Um,
As you do.
so as you do. So basically now, you know where Maleficent is. You go back to Traverse Town to talk to the Final Fantasy characters one more time. Sid, who's like your engineer guy, he tells you like how to get there, and he's gonna install something on your ship to get there easier. And during this time, Sora has like a brief moment of finally like getting depressed. It's like we haven't made any progress. Your king's still lost. Kairi's still lost. Like what are we doing? And Dawn and Goof are like, I don't know, Sora. No sad faces. No crying. Keep positive energies.
No,
And
no,
then
let the kid be.
yeah, and then Sora kind of spaces out and had like a weird vision dream of this old lady in a library in a very fantastical library, and she's just sitting on this chair. Um, Let me find the whole thing, and she starts to tell a story to somebody. There's this little girl, this little redheaded girl, who's sitting next to her, and she starts to tell a story. This is the story. Long ago, people lived in peace, bathed in the warmth of light. Everyone loved the light. Then people began to fight over it. They wanted to keep it for themselves, and darkness was born in their hearts. The darkness spread, swallowing the light and many people's hearts. It covered everything, and the worlds disappeared. But small fragments of light survived in the hearts of children. With these fragments of light, children rebuilt the lost worlds. It's the world we live in now, but the true light sleeps deep within the darkness. That's why the worlds are still scattered, divided from each other. But someday, a door to the innermost darkness will open. But the true light will return, and the true light will return. So listen, child, even in the deepest darkness, there will always be a light to guide you. Believe in the light, and darkness will never defeat you. Your heart will shine with its power and push the darkness away. And then Sora notices this and notices like, hey, that little redheaded girl looks just like Kairi, but I don't recognize this castle. And then Sora wakes up and is like, Kairi, that you? That you trying to tell me something? And then Sid comes back and like, okay, I got your thing ready for Hollow Bastion. Just be careful. That place is swarming with Heartless. And off you go. So Sora just had a vision in the middle of nowhere and a big lore dump. Any questions?
So, so
Yes.
are they like? I feel like I probably should have known the answer to this question earlier. Are they like connected?
So Sora and Kairi.
Yeah.
Um, I'll get to that. I'll get to that. There's an answer, but we haven't gotten there yet. I'll just say that.
Okay.
Um, but that story that the old lady tells you is going to be very important later in the mobile game because that's basically the history of the past, which is very funny because that's one of the lore things that they have stuck with more or less, where it's like once upon a time, all the worlds were connected, and everybody loved the light. But then people got jealous, and they fought over it and destroyed everything, and they had to rebuild. So yeah, basically, Kingdom Hearts is like a post-apocalyptic world that's going through another apocalypse, maybe.
Oh, that's not great.
Yeah, it's actually funny just realizing about Kingdom Hearts of like the people always complain about the Disney World and whatnot, like, or especially like people who like the more anime stuff are like, why do we go here? It's like, no, you gotta go here because this is the whimsy and happiness we're trying to protect because the rest of the universe is basically an apocalyptic hellscape. Like this is the nice parts of the universe. Um so yeah. Now we go to Hollow Bastion. Now we're entering the third act. We go to Hollow Bastion. We see this epic castle because I love the Hollow Bastion castle. It's so cool. It's so I'm sure you've seen it before. But it's kind of look. It's iconic. It's this creepy Ghibli looking metal meets magic castle. Um, and it's
Uh,
great. It's this thing. This is where Maleficent's been living the whole time. Um, so it's really cool. Anyway, so you go there. Sora sees it. He's getting all nervous. Like he senses something. He senses something's up. Donald just says, "Ah, you're just hungry," and ignores him. But they head
you have
off.
terrible magical instincts.
Yeah, and he's the chief wizard of the kingdom.
Come on, Donald.
Yeah, yeah. And then basically, you find Riku. He's confronting Beast. Beast like, where's Belle? Like he's like basically Beast wants to find Belle, and Riku's like, nah, we got her. We ain't giving her back. Beast tries to attack Riku. Riku's got this cool dagger looking thing, sword thing. Riku slices Beast. We don't see it obviously because kids game, but we hear this, and we see Beast on the ground. He's alive, but he's wounded. Sora says like, "Hey, stop it, Riku! This has gone far enough." And then Riku's all you know being a jerk about things, and basically Riku reveals that actually, because Maleficent told me, Sora, you're not actually supposed to have the Keyblade. I'm supposed to have the Keyblade. The Keyblade actually was meant to go to me. And Riku uses his newfound powers and takes the Keyblade from Sora and basically tosses Sora a wooden sword and just goes like, "You were just a delivery boy." And if you think that's bad, basically Donald and Goofy realize, oh shoot, the king never said follow Sora. The king said in his letter, and a quote, "Follow the guy who holds the key." So Donald is the first one to be like, Sora, sorry. Orders are orders. Got the letter.
Wow, you
Goofy
suck.
Goofy a little bit more iffy about it, but he still follows because kind of like, well, I gotta follow Donald, I guess.
I mean, you don't. You feel
Yeah.
like, come on, guys, guys.
And now a brief commercial break. The God Emperor can't protect you from hackers, but NordVPN can. With over 9,500 VPNs in over 200 locations, NordVPN works land, sea, air, and warp to get you the best internet protection possible. Get 75% off your first month and additional 3 months free when you click the link below. And now, back to our program. So yeah, Sora's now alone. Well, he's not alone, because he still decides to help the Beast out. Because and Beast's like, hey, Sora's like, hey, careful, Beast, or he doesn't know who he is, but careful, strange beastly looking man, you're hurt. And then Beast's like, but I have to find Belle. And then Sora's like, yeah, I gotta find somebody too. Obviously Kairi. So basically, Beast and Sora team up. They are now trauma bonded. They are trauma bonded brothers. And they gotta get into the castle. So this is the part of the game where you don't have the keyblade, you don't have your magic. You basically have to rely on Beast to do most of the fighting. You gotta solve a puzzle to get into the castle and unlock the main gate. Um, so it's actually pretty quick. Hopefully, if you get the puzzle easily, and that might just be me because I played the game so many times, I know what to do. Um, but yeah, Beast and Sora, trauma bonded brothers, which is why I rank them high on Sora's friend list. Because you know, I just think they trauma bonded. You know, going through that, and then you run into Riku again, and Riku is in Dawn and Goofy are with Riku now, and Riku is getting sick of Sora constantly, doing his thing. Beast thinks he sees Belle, it's the Heartless in disguise, so Beast kind of runs off to find Belle. So now you get the big confrontation between Riku and Sora. Riku now puts on his dark uniform thing, which has a skirt. This this thingy, this skirt looking thing.
Oh, he's Scottish.
Yeah, exactly. Evil Scottish looking thing. Um, and Riku it basically throws a evil dark ball at Sora. Um, because he thinks Sora's weakling and it doesn't matter. So, you think the ball is about to hit you, but then Goofy comes in with a shield and is Goofy like, all right, well, that's enough. I'm out of here. I'm sticking with Sora's side. I don't want to betray Sora. This just feel wrong. Um, and Goofy's like, "See you later, Donald. Can you tell the king I'm sorry?" And then Donald's like, "Hey, wait a minute. I don't want to be with this guy either. We'll tell them together." And we go back to Sora. It's like, well, all for one, huh? And of course, Sora is Sora, so he instantly forgives them. He probably shouldn't. um,
Yeah,
but
they're friends, huh?
yeah, exactly. Yay, friendship. And then, Sora gives the whole spiel of to Riku of yeah, you might have that darkness, but I got a greater weapon, my heart, and it connects me to all the people I know. And of course, the big theme of Kingdom Hearts, like one of the big tentpole themes of my friends are my power. And and then the Keyblade decides, you know what? This Sora kid's alright. This Riku kid's kind of a jerk. So I'm gonna go back to Sora. So the Keyblade pops out of Riku's hand, much to Riku's shock, and heads back to Sora. So the Keyblade, because it's got a will of its own, is like, goodbye, Riku. Yeah, you kind of you might have been the OG guy, but you let our darkness take over. So whoops. Um. So darkness, womp womp. Uh. So yep, goodbye. And then so basically you fight Riku the first time. Riku runs away it's all sad and mad. Then you gotta do some puzzles to get back into to the castle. And while that's all going on, Riku goes back to the main chapel. He's all mad because I had the Keyblade. Why didn't I have the Keyblade? And then, and you might not remember this because this was a while ago. The strange brown cloaked figure from the beginning of Kingdom Hearts comes back into the story. Who the kind of spooky guy who was talking to Sora in the cave, and he's all like, know this only a strong-hearted individual could have wielded the Keyblade. And then Riku's like, my heart weaker than his, and then the code figured like, yes, in that moment. But if you let your heart give into darkness, then you can truly become all powerful. And Riku is like, okay, I'll try that. And then more magical stuff gets around Riku as the cloak guy gets closer and closer and closer to him. And then we cut to black. So more gameplay, just going up the castle and stuff. Meanwhile, Maleficent has the Princesses of Heart, more or less, and she's ready to activate this thing called the Final Keyhole, which she thinks will lead her to the darkness the door to darkness and all the power. Riku comes back. He's back in his Scottish looking thing. However, his voice sounds different. It's like it's more echoey. It's like if two people are talking to each other in the same voice. It's very strange. And Maleficent doesn't seem to notice at all. Um, Maleficent's like, why isn't this keyhole working? But anyway, it doesn't really matter. I'm gonna use it to conquer all the world and become the evil empress, mistress of evil. Riku's like such confidence, and Riku's like more stoic now. Like he's not as smug. He's very formal, and he's got himself a new keyblade, a dark keyblade, which Maleficent thinks is really cool. Um, and but something seems wrong. It seems like the keyhole seems incomplete. Um, and then Sora, Donald, and Goofy are getting closer. So Maleficent's like, "All right, I'll handle this myself. Stay there, guard the princesses." Maleficent walks off, and Riku just kind of gives her a little evil smirk, a little evil looking smirk. It's like this blue energy is now around him. Follow me so far?
So he's totally been possessed, right?
Oh, absolutely, yes, yes.
Stranger danger. Riku, did nobody on this island teach these children about stranger danger?
Doesn't seem like it. Doesn't seem like the parents are that involved in anything.
Jeez, guys. Okay.
So you battle Maleficent. She does the whole spiel of like, you poor simple fool, you think you can beat me? Me, the mistress of all evil. You battle Maleficent. She thinks she's about to win. You beat her the first time. She runs off. She's a little wounded. You know, you find Maleficent with evil possessed Riku. Riku shows Sora his new Keyblade, and he said that this Keyblade has the power to unlock people's hearts. So Riku stabs Maleficent in the chest with the dark Keyblade, unlocking her power. And Maleficent, with this newfound dark energy, transforms into the dragon. So now she's Dragon
Hooray.
Maleficent. So you fight Dragon Maleficent, hard boss, and then you defeat her. And of course, she dies. She turns into smoke. And
No.
I know. And then possessed Riku comes back, and Riku's like, "Huh, I guess she was just another puppet after all." And Sora's like, "What?" And Riku's like, "The Heartless were using Maleficent from the beginning, and she failed to see the darkness eating away at her in a fit again for such a fool." And it's like Riku just like walks away, Maleficent's cloak as it disappears, and walks off. And Sora's like, what the heck is going on?" So yeah, Maleficent's dead, and the possessed Riku says that she was just a puppet. She wasn't important, which I think is just him BSing. I personally think so. Um, and now you gotta fight this new Riku guy. And through magic, Donald and Goofy are both yeeted out. Oh, go ahead. You want to say something?
Oh no, I didn't say anything.
Okay. Well, anyway, and through the magic, Donald and Goofy are yeeted out of the arena that you're gonna fight the evil Riku in. You gotta Sora realizes, hey, wait a minute, you're not Riku. I can hear your double voice. That sounds like it has special effects over it. And Riku's like, that's true, because it is I, Ansem, the Seeker of Darkness. Now, if you don't remember,
Handsome?
Ansem, Ansem,
Oh, right.
not handsome, Ansem. Although he is handsome. Um, But yes, the scientist ruler of the world that the Final Fantasy characters came from, which is Hollow Bastion, and the guy who was like studying all the hearts. So basically, what basically, and this is kind of one of those weird things where it's like because this is like bonus material instead of the actual in gameplay cutscenes, you're supposed to be collecting these things called Ansem reports, which are like the reports that Ansem wrote to study the Heartless and the Hearts, and that the Disney villains have been using to like control the Heartless, and basically trying to figure out
Right.
like what did this Ansem dude do? And basically, it seems like he's been the main villain this whole time, and the reason why all this bad stuff is happening. And he's now possessed Riku. So now you got and basically, you see Kairi. She's in comatose state. So we're like, "Hey, Kairi, wake up, wake up!" And Ansem's like, yeah, she doesn't have her heart. It's not there. And Sora's like, she doesn't have a heart, but where's her heart? And Ansem says, the heart, her heart, is inside you. And then, yes, and this is a line in the game. Sora says, wait, Kairi's inside me? Yeah. So basically, when Hollow Bastion got destroyed, so Kairi's heart went into Sora's heart or body or something, and basically, Sora's had two hearts, his heart and Kairi's heart, and that's why Sora's been kind of having weird visions of Kairi and weird emotions about Hollow Bastion. Which oh, and by the way, Kairi's originally from Hollow Bastion, and because you go to the library where you saw Kairi and her grandma was the one who told her the story. That is the reveal. Da-da-da. And Kairi's a princess. She's the last princess of Heart.
Mm. Princess of okay, so Hollow Bastion was a kingdom?
Yes, it was ruled by a scientist Lord King guy. I don't know if they ever call him a king. And to be fair, I'm not quite sure if like Kairi's related to Ansem or not. Because the Princess of Heart is just someone with pure light and no darkness. It doesn't mean like an actual royal. Because Alice is the Princess of Heart, but she's just a girl. It's a little
Wow.
nebulous.
Respect poor Alice. Put some respect on her name.
But yeah, so basically, Kairi was the last Princess of Heart, but she doesn't have a heart, so the keyhole can't be complete and whatnot. Um, and Kairi can't wake up because of it. Uh, so yeah, you gotta. But basically, yeah. Riku is Ansem. Kairi's a princess, and Kairi's inside Sora, metaphorically, spiritually. Uh, Makes sense so far.
Hmm.
Questions?
No, but also yes.
Basically, Kairi's spirit's
So
inside Sora, keeping refuge, and not in her
and
body.
how did it get in there again?
Because you see you saw Kairi during the destruction of the world, and she kind of like literally like ghosted through you, and I guess because of that, her heart just like leached onto Sora's and just hid there because Kairi and Sora are best buddies, and she trusts him. So she wasn't gonna put Kairi her heart into Riku, that's for sure.
So she could just do this the whole time, or was it just because of the end of the world happening?
I think it was because of the end of the world happening, and maybe some magic she didn't understand. 'Cause Kairi doesn't know
Huh.
this. She doesn't know where she's from. So this is a surprise to her too.
Has she been able to like see through his eyes this whole time?
We don't know because when she does wake up, she is so nonplussed about the talking dog and duck and just kind of gets it. So I'm going to assume yes. So anyway, hold on, but before we get there, so you got to fight Ansem Riku, and Ansem Riku leaves his Keyblade with her because obviously Kairi's still inside you, and basically this is a Keyblade that can unlock people's hearts. So Sora's like, well, nice knowing you. Seppuku time. Stabs himself, unlocks Kyrie's heart, but also kind of kills him, unalives himself. Um, Becomes darkness. He gets swallowed by the darkness, and all the other princesses of heart are free as well because the hearts of the princesses were inside the Keyblade to power it up. Donald and Goofy are crying
Wait,
because
wait. Go back it
oh,
up. Back up.
okay, whoop, go back in.
The hearts were in this key plate the whole time?
No, the Ansem made that Keyblade with the princesses' hearts. So, um, I think it's just a recent thing. So this is like this new
Okay.
Keyblade with a new thing that Sora now destroyed because he unlocked his heart and destroyed the Keyblade alongside it. Donald and Goofy are all sad. Donald's like, Sora, come back, Sora, no! Sora even gives like a one last big cheeky smile as he, uh, you know, give that last cheeky smile, like, don't worry, guys, keep smiling.
Well,
And
that's
then,
grim.
yep, and then he dies. I mean, like, show, like, look, big old, big old stab wound. Um, so yeah, Sora's basically dead, and Kairi wakes up, and she sees Sora kind of collapse, and then poof, out of existence in her arms. Realizing what's going on. Um, so yeah, all that's going on, and then Ansem comes back, and he's now in his full body form. He looks. This is from Kingdom Hearts 3, but it's close enough. He looks like this. If we're putting in an image, and the keyhole is now complete. You know, all the plan's done. Ansem's grand design work. He's gonna try to get rid of them. But before he can, Riku shows up as a spirit because his body's still being controlled. Um, and he tries to give the gang enough time to run. This is the real Riku, who clearly has seemed to realize that he's messed up. Um, the Heartless show up, and Kairi, Donald, and Goofy run out of there. Even they don't have time to grieve because they gotta run because they're being chased by Heartless. Um, so yeah, that's going on. Any questions so far?
Oh, okay. Let's do a brief recap.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah, probably good.
All right. All right. So Sora commits suicide.
Yes,
It frees the princess's heart.
yes. Frees Kyrie's heart too. Kyrie's awake, fully conscious.
A little concerning that that was his first idea, but okay.
Ansem kind of made it clear that that's kind of the only. At least he kind of made him think that was the only way to free Kyrie's heart because that's what the Keyblade does.
And okay. Okay, so then okay, so that's grim. And then Riku comes back as a ghost that can somehow still do stuff.
He's not doing much. He's just sort of stopping Ansem's body from moving for like a couple of minutes because, like, I guess they're kind of time sharing the body right now. So the Riku
Oh,
part is
okay,
like
you're
kind of, yeah, kind of.
okay. Okay, that makes a bit more sense. All right, proceed.
So then you realize there's this one Heartless though that's not attacking anybody, and it's just kind of being dopey around, just kind of going doop a doop a doop, and follows Kyrie, Donald, and Goofy to the castle, and then runs into them. And at first Donald sees it, it's like, "Hey, get out of here, you Heartless!" He kind of bashes on the head a little bit, but just doesn't go away. And then it just kind of the Heartless kind of just looks at Kyrie, just like with a dead eye look. And then Kyrie's like, "Wait a minute, that you, Sora?" And then the Heartless just kind of just stands there. And then Kyrie, through the power of hugs the Heartless. And then magical light, Sora is restored because that Heartless was Sora the whole time, and it remembered just enough that it didn't become just a mindless drone. And because Kyrie's a princess and whatnot, Sora's body's back and Sora's back. So hooray.
So we've been murdering people this whole time.
Yes and no, because okay, so if you use the Keyblade on a Heartless, the heart will just go free. And hopefully return to the body.
Hmm. Okay. Go free.
Yeah, hopefully, and then the
Blink,
body will
nudge,
be
nudge.
restored. Will be restored, hopefully. Um, and kind of come out of it and be a normal person again.
Alright.
Um, so yeah, Sora's back. Beast gives us some time to escape because more Heartless are showing up. So we get out of there, and we go back to Traverse Town, talk to our Final Fantasy gang, kind of give them the 411 what's going on. And yeah, we just tell them, hey, this Ansem guy is doing this thing, and power of love and friendship freed Sora, and basically now we gotta defeat Ansem. So, talk to Kairi, tell Kairi stay in Traverse Town till we're done. Let the boys handle it because this is a shonen anime inspired thing, and sadly, Kairi's not allowed to do anything. So yeah, so basically, yeah. You know, it, Kairi gives us her lucky charm. Tell us to give it back, or else she'll smack us. It's actually kind of a really rude moment where Sora's like, why can't I come? And then Sora's like, you kind of get in my way. And it's like, dude, you have to say that. Like, such a boy thing. Um, you know, it always sucks. But yeah, so you go back to Hollow Bastion again. Belle and Beast reunite. Yay. You
Right.
seal the final You seal the final keyhole. Um, the princesses say they saw Ansem. He went through a dark portal and he's looking very happy. Oh, and Jasmine and Alice are okay now. Jasmine stays there just for a little while longer. Because the apocalypse is almost upon us, and the princesses together can use their light power to keep the darkness at bay at least a little bit. But then hopefully she'll go back to Agrabah. Um, Basically, and then the Final Fantasy gang from Traverse Town comes back to Hollow Bastion because that's where they were from, and was like, "Yo, good job, Sora. Got one more thing to do." And after this though, the worlds will probably disconnect again, and none of us will be able to see each other because that's not how it was supposed to be. But the Heartless kind of destroyed all the barriers between the worlds. And then Leon gives his ultimate line of, "We may never meet again, but we'll never forget each other." Um, so yeah, you
Do
say
they meet
goodbye to
again?
what?
Do they actually meet again?
Oh yeah, plenty of times,
Of course.
of course. But yeah, so basically, you go to the final world, which is called End of the World, which is like this hellscape Evangelion looking. The end of Evangelion looking world, where at the end, yeah, imagine something
Yes.
kind of something like that. I'm gonna send you pictures of like what End of the World kind of looked like. Like it looks kind of like this. These are just some
Oh, yeah.
photos.
But then Eva. That looks a little less Eva, but
I
okay.
mean, it's basically just you know horrid hell and whatnot. Um, and sort of a little nervous because like once this world is disconnected, what's going to happen to us? Um, and then but Goofy like comes in, with for some wisdom, and says like, "Oh, don't worry, our hearts won't disappear. Everything will be fine. This world will just kind of do its thing. Will disappear, and we'll be fine." He says something more wise in the movie in the book. But yeah, it's very you know it's very much but stuff. Anyway, so you go through that. You fight a bunch of Heartless. It's pretty much hell on earth. And then you go to this place that looks like Hollow Bastion again because there's like this one portal area where that goes to all these worlds you can fight Heartless. One mandatory one. You go to this computer terminal, and you see this book thing, and then you click on it, and then you read one born of the heart and darkness, devoid of hearts, ravage all worlds and bring desolation. Seize all hearts and consummate the great heart. All hearts to be one. One heart to encompass all. Realize the destiny, the realm of kingdom hearts. The great darkness sealed within the great heart. Progeny of darkness, come back to the eternal darkness. For the heart of light shall Unseal the past. 7 hearts, 1 keyblade, 1 key to the door. The door of darkness tied by 2 keys. The door of darkness to seal the light. None shall pass but shadows. Returning to the darkness. One born of the heart and darkness hunger for every heart until the dark door opens. So yeah, some cryptic stuff, Darkness, 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 darkness. And then you get one last boss battle. One last Disney boss battle. And that's right, the last Disney boss battle of the game is none other than Chernabog from Night on Bald Mountain. So yeah, yes, and they do play the music. They play the music the whole time while you're fighting him.
Chernabog. Is that the
You
guy
don't remember from Fantasia?
Fantasia?
Yeah. The
The devil dude.
Yeah, the devil dude. Satan. Which is perfect for this world.
I remember correctly, the guy who does Chernabog does what's his name? I think if I remember correctly, the guy who did Chernabog might have done the character from Ichabod and Mr. Crane.
I don't think so, because Chernabog doesn't talk in Mr. Toad. Chernabog doesn't talk in Fantasia.
No, the guy who did the guy who voiced. Well, hold on, it's
Chernabog doesn't is not voicing anything. He just is quiet in Fantasia and in the game.
like a character in Ichabod and Mr. Toad that I think they used his model.
Oh, I think I know what you're thinking of, maybe. They used a model of one of the demons in Fantasia for the Horn King in Black Cauldron. But yeah, so basically you fight Chernabog. That's the last Disney boss. And then you find yourselves, after more Heartless, find yourself back on Destiny Island. Yeah, like, what are we doing here? You get
coming there.
What?
I need to stop coming there. Seriously.
Yeah, you're back home. Although you hear a voice in your head say, "Remember, you are the one who opened the door to light before you go." And there you see Riku in his Scottish thing, looking out the ocean. It's still Ansem, and Ansem just looking out, talking in his voice, like talking about how this foolish boy who hated this world and thought it was a prison surrounded by water, and thus opened his heart to darkness, and caused the world to be destroyed. Riku transforms into Ansem proper, and Ansem basically like all worlds begin with darkness and all so end. The heart is no different. Basically the typical stuff of like everything's darkness. It all sucks. And Sora doesn't is like, nah, I don't believe that stuff. That sucks. You're wrong. And then basically a whole bunch of boss battles. We fight Ansem in his first form with Donald and Goofy. We fight Ansem in his second form by ourselves. That's the hardest one. And then we enter into a black void of nothing. And Ansem transforms into this looking thing in a black void. Oh, and I should back up a little bit. While all that's happening, Riku is in the Dark Realm because his body was destroyed, kind of. He's walking through like an endless pit of darkness. He's regretting his life decisions, as one would hope, by kind of losing himself literally to darkness. But then you hear the voice in the Dark Realm saying like, "Hey, I couldn't help your body get destroyed, but maybe we can still do something. Maybe we can still do something." And Riku's like, "Oh, okay. Sure. I'm not sure, but okay. Maybe we can fix this." So that's going on. So Sora now got to fight Ansem looking like a giant mutated ship. He's going down for the count, but then he hears Riku's voice and going like, "Come on, Sora. I thought you could do better than that." And then that gives him the pumped up energy he needs to fight Ansem in this mega form thing. You battle, you duel. It's a whole boss battle that you got. Oh, I hope you have saved time for and don't need to make any bathroom breaks. So you do that, and basically, um, afterwards, Ansem's ready to open the door to darkness. The door opens, the Kingdom Hearts door. I'll show you because that's there. Or what he thinks is Kingdom Hearts, or he thinks Kingdom Hearts is inside this door. I think he thinks Kingdom Hearts is inside this actual door. This is the door to darkness, and inside is Kingdom Hearts. So the door starts to open, and shadows start to come through. It's all very apocalyptic. Um, he thinks supreme darkness will rule over, and then Sora, with all the confidence in the world, goes, "No, I know now, without a doubt, Kingdom Hearts is light." And then poof, a big shining light beams at Ansem, strikes him. He's looking at the light, he's being blinded by it, and he's like, "Light? But why?" And then Ansem gets destroyed. But you still gotta close the door because even though there's light, there is still a lot of darkness, and a whole bunch of Heartless are gonna come through, and it's not gonna be good for anybody. So they start to close the door. They start to close it. They're pushing, and you see some giant Heartless showing up. But then suddenly the Heartless start getting destroyed in one shot. Donald and Goofy are looking in, and then you see it. You see it, my fellow co-host. Mickey
Oh no.
Mouse. Mickey shows up. And fun fact, unlike the later Kingdom Hearts games, in this one, they had a rule that Mickey was only allowed to show up in one scene, and that was it. And they picked like the best scene. Like this, I mean, people might complain about that, but honestly, I think that's an odd limitation that actually works to the game's advantage because Mickey showing up at the end is like, yes, thank God. And it's like, come on, fellas, we can close this door. And then Riku shows up, and he's at the other side of the door, and he starts pulling from behind. So it's like, oh, and Mickey also had the Keyblade too. He has because he got the other. He got the Keyblade that can close this door. So basically, Sora and Mickey use their Keyblades to close the door to darkness. Riku's closing it too. Riku's on the other side. You're on the other side, so you're kind of closing the door on Riku. But that's okay because Sora and Riku have a moment and they just kind of like nod, yeah, yep, and it's pretty much like yep, all's forgiven for all the murder attempts, like a real rival does, right? That's more or less how like Naruto and Sasuke made up, right? Just nod, nod.
I think so. Yeah, well, yeah, no, yeah, yeah.
Exactly. Just
Pretty
nod. It's
much
like
what happened.
all the war crimes and murder. It's fine now. It's all good. And Riku's last words are "take care of her." Talking about Kairi. And you close the door on Riku and Mickey, who are on the other side. You're on one side, they're on the other. And the door of darkness is closed. And yeah, you saved the universe from the apocalypse. Congrats. Um, so after that, Sora sees Kairi just standing on a rock in the middle of this dark void of nothing. And the world starts to reshape. But unfortunately, Sora is not allowed to join back just yet. So Sora is like, "Don't worry, Kairi. I'll find you," and all that stuff. And like, "I know you will." And then they hold hands for like 5 seconds before Sora like has to let go, and they start to separate. That's a really sad moment because like Sora's smiling the whole time, and then once kind of Sora starts to fade away, he starts to like frown, and you can kind of tell he's sad and frustrated. So he's like keeping up an appearance until like he disappears and can't see Kyrie anymore, which is just kind of again speaks to his mentality of like be happy around others and then by yourself be miserable. Um, the world of Destiny Island starts to reform around Kyrie. She's all by herself. She even goes to the cave earlier and sees the image Thor drew of him sharing a papu fruit with her, which I said in the first video that the papu fruit is like a fruit that if you share it with someone, your souls or your destiny will become intertwined forever. It's pretty much just like, "Hey, you wanna go out with me? Date me?" Kind of a fruit. She cries, and then she draws herself giving Sora a papu fruit. Um, Screw Riku, I guess, it's just the 2 of them. Um, which okay, fair.
Yeah, poor Riku.
Poor Riku.
He does
Um,
not want the purple.
no, he does. And,
She doesn't.
nah, she doesn't. Um, so basically, Kairi's by herself on the island all alone crying. Sora's by himself now watching the stars getting restored. Because, yes, now all the worlds that got destroyed are coming back. So Beast World comes back. Alice's world was destroyed. But, Sleeping Beauty's world comes back. Cinderella's world comes back. All the worlds start coming back, um, get restored. And it basically, you find out everything's okay. The Traverse Town gang's there. They're reunited with Cloud. Cloud comes back to Hollow Bastion. Um, Beast and Belle are together. Aladdin, Jasmine reunite. All that good stuff. And then you epilogue with Sora, Donald, and Goofy walking down a grassy road. Just like back to their cheerful self. They gotta find Riku and the King. And then they can go home. And then they see a letter from Pluto, or I think it's just Pluto, and they just start running off in a new direction. And the voice just says, "Just remember, Sora, you are the one who's gonna open the door to light." And then cut, and that's the end of Kingdom Hearts 1. The adventure continues for many, many more games. So yeah, that's Kingdom Hearts 1 in a nutshell. Any questions, comments, concerns, intrigue?
A bit of intrigue, quite a few concerns. Um, so why exactly is Sora not allowed to go home?
Um, he on the different side of the island. He wasn't like in the proper place when the worlds got destroyed, but because of cosmic things, he got to see Kairi one more time. So like, Sora's kind of buried from going back just yet. He has to kind of find a different route to get home.
Uh,
And also, he's trying to find Riku and King Mickey. So his journey's not completely done yet. He's not gonna just leave
why though?
because
Just leave Mickey, man.
Sora's too nice, and he wants to make sure everybody gets back home safe, even if they maybe don't deserve it, like Riku.
Ricky was a kid. Leave Mickey alone. Like, dude, go home, man. Go home. Leave this king.
Or maybe also just feels like, well, I'm still with Donald and Goofy, so they the amigos. It's more to find Riku than it is to find the king for Sora, in all honesty. But since Riku and the king are together, he assumes find one, you find the other. Find one. So that's why
I
he's not.
don't know.
That's why he's not going home. So yeah. Um. Any more questions before I give my final thoughts?
No, I think we're good for now.
So yeah, that's the
I
first Kingdom.
still met you at Kingdom Hearts 2.
Actually, Chain of Memories. Kingdom Hearts 2 comes
Oh
after
yeah.
it. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Remember, the main game is the side games are just as important. If not more so.
Ugh.
Um. Oh yeah. We'll get there. I'll get to there. Anyway, so yeah, it's basically the first Kingdom Hearts story, and it's still my favorite. It's still my favorite, in all honesty. It's the one that I think balances the Disney stuff and the overarching plot the best. I had my favorite gameplay. I think it's got a very simple story. There's definitely a lot of things where it's like it's mysterious enough to not be. It's sometimes not as super fleshed out as one would hope, but it's fleshed out just enough to make you care. Um, it's very. How do I play? Yeah, quote the music itself. It's simple and clean. It's simple enough to make it. It's to make it entertaining, not too complicated. And it. I think it's got a pretty decent story. It's a typical hero's journey, right? Sora, rivalry, all that good stuff. It gets more complex and sometimes confusing later, but for the first game, I think it's quite the adventure. But yeah, what are your thoughts just of how I explained it so far of Kingdom Hearts, the first one, the original?
I think it is. I think I can see why people love it.
Mhm.
It sounds egregiously long. Speaking as
Oh, it's a long.
someone who loves video games, no longer has all the time I want to play them.
Oh yeah, this isn't the longest game, but it can be long, especially if you don't know what you're doing right away. That's like 14, 24 hour long game, and that depends on how much you want to level up. Um, I didn't even talk about some of the bonus stuff you could do, like Winnie the Pooh, a book, stuff, and the Dalmatian collecting, and even the Hades tournament where you fight Hades and deal with that, and of course you get to fight Sephiroth once. Um, Sephiroth. So yeah, it's a long one. It's got a lot of stuff, but if you are someone with time, definitely commit to it. And yeah, it's the start of this epic saga, and the world just keeps getting bigger and bigger and more complex. But it's fun because at the end of the day, it's still centered around this anime boy Sora and Donald and Goofy.
Well, I think that was a really good story.
It is. What will happen to
Next,
Riku? Will Maleficent's legacy live on? Will Sora just finally admit he's being a polycule? Who knows? It is funny though seeing this game and realizing, wow, so many anime tropes from the early 2000s are in this game.
oh yeah,
And I like to joke, Riku is baby's first Sasuke.
I can see it.
But yeah, Kingdom Hearts. I'm glad I was able to take us through this journey. It was a lot of fun. And hopefully, depending on when things release, we'll either get back to Warhammer or we will do something else.
Well, we got Chain of Memories to get through, and we definitely, yes, spoiler alert for our viewers, listeners. Um, this being a very huge packed month of nerd stuff means we are obligated to talk about it.
Yep, we got Supergirl and He-Man and all sorts of fun stuff.
It's gonna be really
So
fun. It's
look out for that.
but yeah, that was Kingdom Hearts in a nutshell.
Woo!
Joel, thanks for the rundown.
All right. I was happy to do this. I can't wait to talk about Chain Memories, and then we get to the big one, Kingdom Hearts 2. Oh, that's going to be a long one because that's an even longer game than the first one game. The second game,
Ooh,
Chain Memories, shorter. It's a because it was a Game Boy game.
good boy. All right. Well, that'll be fun.
Yes,
But stick with us as we get to that point. This has been Warhammer and Weebs. I'm Kimara.
I'm Joel,
Thanks for listening.
and may your heart be your guiding key.